Welcome to our latest showcase stream. Please, first, welcome to the chat @/mystream.
Good afternoon, all.
Welcome. It's always a pleasure, Neph. Allow me.
Always.
Yep. And we have more guests incoming. Allow me to find their entrances. So much stuff. I need to better organize this. It takes a while.
That's all right.
Here we are. Welcome.
Hello, Kaiju.
Hi. By the way, Red, I see you in the chat. Filthy, filthy Russian.
Funny. And we have one other.
Hello, Camp Valerian.
Greetings, greetings, my lady, gentlemen, slaves, beings, things, etc. You know the deal. I already did all that.
Alrighty.
Yes.
So, alrighty. So, as per usual, I will go last, and Neph will go first. Which of you wants to go second and third?
As per usual, mine's probably the shortest, so I don't really mind which one.
I have to go AFK-ish in like 20 minutes to half an hour, and then I'll be until after 5. I'll be
Perhaps
around.
you should go first then.
Yeah, you should probably go first then. That's actually probably best. If you're heading out, yeah, let's you go first. Go for it.
I'm still around. I'll be listening. I'll be saying things now and then, but I wouldn't be able to read because I'd be AFK-ish.
Exactly. So you should go first.
Yeah.
Where? Oh dear.
I don't mind stepping aside for you.
I don't see the thing. Oh, now I see. I'm sorry. I'm trying to share screen so I can show the map. No, this won't take long because I've already got it open.
Okay.
So this will just take a second. It's already open. And let me see. Where is it? There it is. Okay. Okay, that just took a second. There's the map. I zoomed out. Can you see it okay?
Let me add it. Yes.
Oh wow, you zoomed out
Wow,
a lot.
Yeah, it either zooms out, like, I can zoom in a bit if you want me to.
Yeah, I can't really see anything.
I can't see anything worth.
It looks like a. Yeah, it looks like a. No, I can't.
No, nothing's happened. Go to view.
What? Yeah, it is view, zoom in. You can't see it now. Let's see. That's odd. I just zoomed in. I wonder what the problem is.
Well, nothing's happened.
Oh dear. Sorry about that.
There, that looks better.
Yeah, looks better.
So now, maybe it just took a while. The computer is slow. Maybe that's what happened.
Maybe.
Maybe it just took a while.
I do know that one. I know that one thing that you can do that's actually like really nice and efficient is what's it called? Incarnate. It's a really good map creator that you can use.
Yeah, I've used it. It's really nice.
I'll have to ask, how do you spell that? Sorry.
Ink, as in ink that you write with, then incarnate. Let me.
CARNATE.
Okay, so it's incarnate. Incarnate. Okay, I got that. .com presumably. Okay.
I put it in the chat.
I'm guessing there's a website to download it. Okay. Now I'm ready. And let's talk a bit about slavery. So,
Everybody's favorite topic.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Margaret even tricked slaves who slaughtered their animals. But these were so and loath to converse. She did not first understand why. The butchers were all slaves captured. Maybe for just see the page down, sorry. Were all captured. The butchers were all slaves captured in the wars against the barbarians, and they dwelt in the northern part of the grounds, that is, of the castle grounds, because it was a place of relative dishonor. Let's talk to the butchers, she said to her sister one day on a whim, when she was approaching her 9th birthday. She was only 6. They were in the nursery, and Margaret had just finished reading to her sister from the life of the holy book of Ichalamu. You can. They're too fierce for me. I'd rather play with dolls. Don't be a coward. Margaret put on her cloak and grabbed her parasol. I can be cowardly all I want, retorted her sister obstinately. So Margaret had to go by herself. I'm going to the northern garden, she told the governess. I want to look at the pond of truth. Lorraine straightened Margaret's cloak. Try not to run too much, little great one. Margaret nodded in the Mediterranean manner that is by throwing her head back, and stepped outside. She would not run until she was safely away. Margaret walked past the stables and through the northern garden. Most of the trees here were conifers, and the flowers were fewer and less colorful. She did in fact look at the pond, admiring the reflections of the trees in its waters, and tossed some crumbs to the flightless ducks and striped swans. Once past the pond, the path grew rougher, but Margaret continued until she reached some crude straw huts, where the slaves dwelt. She ran up to the nearest hut, which stood next to a chopping block. And peered inside. Apart from some crude wooden idols and some straw on the ground, you couldn't really call it a floor. There was no furniture, and there were no decorations. That is, unless you counted the dead animals hanging on a rack. One of the butchers was sharpening a knife inside. Pardon me. What is your name? She asked. I am Thmardagal, son of Nach of Khmel, princess, he replied shortly. The name means soul of hawk, son of wolf, what that's worth. How is your family? I do not know this. Took them. Why? Margaret was shocked and puzzled. It did not sound like something her father would do. Had he done something bad? We lost the battle and were captured. We have no more family now. May I go back to work, mistress? Oh, of course, she said, horrified. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. He knelt politely, and Margaret bowed her head and ran back to Seraphon. Where is my mother? She asked the guard at the castle entrance. Your gracious mother is in the study, my lady. Thank you for not calling me little great one, Ahar. You know how I hate that. The guard laughed and let her in. Margaret ran up the ladder to the second floor, turned right, and entered the study where Markaruna was leaping from the castle archive. Mother, yelled Margaret, why do we have slaves and why do we take them from their families? Do not yell, Margaret. Markaruna put down the document she was reading. You are old enough to know better. Now tell me what happened. I'm sorry, said Margaret, and told her mother what had happened. Why do we have slaves? We only have slaves when we in war, replied Markaruna. Unbelievers captured in war may be enslaved. This is well known.
Oh dear.
Did we lose him?
I don't think so.
He could
Something the matter?
Am I
Oh no. The mic. The microphone.
Oh dear, that's not good.
No, that ain't good.
Hello?
Hello?
Okay. Hello? Yeah, sorry, you cut out for a second.
Yeah.
Am I back? Am I back now?
I think you are.
Hmm.
You okay?
Press F in the chat for our fallen comrade.
You are not audible, Count Valerian. I'm very sorry. I cannot hear you. Yeah. Sorry, buddy. The technical difficulties, performance issues, happens to the best of us.
Yeah. F's in the chat for Camp Larian.
Alrighty. That sucks.
Yeah.
It's rough. Huh. Yeah, sorry, I can't hear. Sorry, I wish I could hear you, but I cannot.
I can't hear you either, and I turned my volume up so I could.
Difficult. What the fuck? What the fuck? Try yelling at your microphone in Spanish. Maybe that'll help.
It's a meme. My name's become a meme for
Yes.
the channel.
Yeah. You can't hear anyone. Oh shoot, that's terrible. So we've been chatting the whole time.
Oh dear.
Oh, dear.
So, wait, you've lost. He's lost both audio and.
Oh man, that sucks.
Oh no! Oh no!
Oh no!
uh.
Okay. I'm trying to small time times. Oh man, that sucks. Dang.
Yeah.
That's a no-no.
Yeah. Yeah, Neph is so cute that she makes computers just kill themselves.
But I don't have my usual avatar.
Still shines through. Still shines through. Yeah, probably. Apparently, he needs a new computer. It's not doing good.
Yeah.
Well,
Count's been done in by its own mic. Wise Wolf, just for that pun, you're going to be spending a week in the gulags when I build them.
Okay. Yeah. Hopefully, he's gonna try and leave and come back. See what happens.
Yeah. Let's hope it works.
Okay.
Puns are fun, though.
Yeah, they are very fun. All right. Hopefully this works. Well, anyway, so I'm debating between reading a kind of the beginning of my Dracula book or reading the start of the book that is that we're going to be chatting about, at least brainstorming the creative process for I don't know, a 10-book series or something, and trying to brainstorm and reading the first prologue to kind of get people hyped for Wednesday when we start brainstorming the creative process.
Ooh, that'd be good.
Okay.
Wise Wolf, I will Gamma Seal over you. Gamma Seal outs almost everything.
I can hear you now.
Oh,
Woo!
yay! Woohoo!
Alrighty.
That was right.
I'm torn, Dun, because your Dracula story would fit the mood of the month, but at the same time, I'm looking forward to the.
I guess I could just read that on stream to start things off. So
Yeah, that's probably a better idea.
Shall I finish off my my bit now?
Yes, please.
Yeah, go for it.
Yep.
Do you remember where we were? Because I remember where we were, but do you all remember more or less?
I think
in war, that bit.
I don't.
Okay. I may have been gone by then.
Partially because you went silent really quickly. So
yeah.
Okay, let's see. Okay. We only have slaves whom we capture in war, replied Makaruna. Unbelievers captured in war may be enslaved. This is well known. Their father treats them more kindly than most. But we take them from their families. That is wrong. We cannot enslave their families as well. And that would be unjust anyway, to enslave people who weren't fighting us. At least now they can learn the truth. We could teach them the truth without enslaving them. Harat taught it, and he didn't enslave anyone. We should fight the Chuggins anyway, not these barbarians. That decision is not for you to make. And you should not have asked the slave about his family. It was unkind. I meant to be kind. Meaning and doing are two different things, beloved. It's time you learnt these things. You will not be a young child much longer. As Karat revealed in thy soul, Haru Ambi, do compassion wisely. And now to other matters. When you are 9, okay, that's not about slavery anymore. There's another passage about slavery coming up in the next chapter. It's a short one. Should I read that one as well? Or
I think just keep it to where it's at.
Yeah.
Yeah. probably be, yeah, because we wasted a lot of time already fighting World War III with my computer.
That's true. That's true.
Okay, so better luck next time, hopefully.
Okay.
So,
Right.
my turn?
Yes, I believe it is.
All right, this is the second story of my Tales from the Frontier. This is called Jennifer's Tale.
Any relation to Jennifer's body?
No, actually. She looked over her shoulder as she came to a stop. Jennifer was fairly certain she'd managed to get away from the base camp before. She wasn't sure what had happened. A freak storm? There were not usually storms like that one at this time of year. Jennifer took several breaths to calm herself. She pulled out her dog whistle and blew into it sharply. Kylie would soon be on her way. The direwolf would catch up, but Jennifer knew that she wasn't safe if she didn't keep moving. Jennifer pulled the straps of her pack higher on her back and shoulders as she got moving. Yeah. Should probably edit that. Jennifer grinned when she heard the howl of her partner, Kylie, from somewhere behind her. Kylie should still have her saddle strapped to her back. There was a crashing sound, and a huge, black, dire wolf appeared, slowing down slightly to match Jennifer's pace. Jennifer jumped sideways and pulled herself into the dire wolf's saddle. "Looks like we can't go back, Kylie," Jennifer said, as she settled herself into the saddle and the wolf below her picked up speed. Kylie barked in agreement and then growled a question. "What?" Jennifer asked, as she turned to look in the direction of the now abandoned camp. "No, I don't think Minerva was caught in whatever that freak storm was," she replied. "Good. They'd managed to get away from the Wendigo without being seen. I'm sure she and Aurora are fine, Kylie." The direwolf growled again. "No, I'm not sure we will be okay if we stop," Jennifer replied sharply. "Besides, we couldn't stop here even if we wanted to. We are out here on our own. Prime targets for a Wendigo like that one," she grimaced. "We need to report this to the main base." The direwolf underneath her growled low and angry, picking up even more speed than before. "I know, Kylie," Jennifer said softly, just loud enough to be heard over the whistling of the wind in her ears. "I just hope that Minerva makes it out like we did." Their journey lapsed into silence as Jennifer contemplated what she was going to say to the people in whichever camp she arrived at. Kylie, the direwolf, came to an abrupt halt and lifted her head, sniffing at the breeze before starting to growl a warning. The sound snapped Jennifer out of her thoughts, and she looked around, trying to find what her partner had detected. Could it be the Wendigo? Jennifer really hoped not. Jennifer reached for the dagger sheathed at her side and slowly pulled it out. It wasn't quite a roar, but the tone of the sound didn't sound friendly. "Kylie," Jennifer said slowly, "I don't think we want to stay here." The dire wolf snorted in agreement, sniffing at the air. She started growling another warning. "What do you think it is?" What do you think it is?" Jennifer asked in shock. "Please repeat that, Kylie. I could swear I heard you wrong." Kylie growled again. "You know, Kylie, I'm fairly certain that this is not the right habitat for the Minotaur. They are native to Gris, and to my knowledge, they are too dangerous to import anywhere since, like the Wendigo, they are cannibals." Kylie growled a question. "I know, I don't like that possibility either," Jennifer agreed. "Could it be a Cyclops? They are known to... No, the call was wrong. It must be bovine." Woman and wolf both turned their heads when they heard the sound of a loud crash. Something in this forest was running towards them. Kylie growled as the direwolf pawed at the ground nervously. Yeah, I don't want to find out what that is either, Jennifer agreed, as her friend and partner turned and started loping down the mountain again. It would be just her luck if it was the Wendigo again, though Jennifer was fairly certain that it had not seen her before she'd made her escape. Jennifer just knew she really didn't want to know what was chasing her. She needed to get as close to the nearest settlement as possible before she and her wolf confronted their hunter. Jennifer was certain that her dagger was not going to be enough. Thankfully, Jennifer had remembered to strap her quiver and bow to Kylie's saddle. After what seemed like forever, lights appeared in the distance. It looked like Jennifer had found a camp or a settlement. Kylie, turn around, Jennifer ordered, as she pulled her bow from where she'd secured it to her saddle. She took a moment to make sure the bowstring was still tight and pulled an arrow from her quiver. Jennifer knocked the arrow to the string and pulled back, taking careful aim, as there were several more crashes coming their way. Their pursuer burst from the underbrush with a mighty roar, and Jennifer found herself proven wrong. It was, in fact, a Minotaur. Its red eyes glowed and bloody drool dripped from its open mouth. The beast was ugly, all black fur with golden horns that glowed in the dim light cast by the far-off lights of town. Kylie snarled, barking and howling challenges to the bovine monster. The dire wolf was crouching, ready to spring in either direction to dodge an incoming attack. Jennifer's eyes narrowed as she let go of the bowstring. The arrow flew straight and true, lodging itself into the Minotaur's chest. The Minotaur roared in pain as it reached up, pulling the arrow out of its chest. There was a satisfying, sickening snap as the arrow shaft broke, leaving the arrowhead lodged inside the beast's chest. Jennifer smirked, but she knew this fight was far from over. The Minotaur's red eyes glinted with an immeasurable hatred that Jennifer had never seen before. Jennifer's grip on her bow tightened. There was complete and utter silence in the clearing. Not even the wind was blowing. It was as if she and the Minotaur were waiting for a signal. Jennifer slowly pulled another arrow from her quiver and nocked it, pulling back as she took aim again. The Minotaur tore a tree out of the ground and lunged at the woman and her dire wolf. Kylie jumped back, and began running around the man-eating monster. The wolf made sure to stay out of the Minotaur's reach. I trust you, Kylie, Jennifer said, letting her arrow fly. The Minotaur screamed again, falling to its knees as the arrow found its home in the back of the Minotaur's knee. Kylie let out another howl and lunged at the Minotaur, sinking her teeth into the Minotaur's bicep. Jennifer pulled her dagger from its sheath and slashed at the Minotaur's other arm. Not caring that the blood was starting to cover her from head to toe, her hand shot up, somehow catching the bovine cannibal under the chin, and slashed at the monster's throat, leaving a deep gash cleanly severing the vein and artery both. The blood-drenched woman and direwolf, and Jennifer let out a long sigh of relief when the light in the Minotaur's eyes died a moment later. It's okay, Kylie, Jennifer said, slumping in the saddle. She didn't think she'd ever felt this tired before. Kylie howled their victory to the sky. Yeah, you great mutt, Jennifer chuckled as she pushed some of her blood-soaked hair out of her face. We've got a job to do. Need to tell the person in charge here what's going on. Carefully, Jennifer dismounted and secured her bow back to the saddle. She could break her bow down later, once they were safe inside an inn. Jennifer took Kylie's reins in hand and led her wolf companion into town. And that's finished.
Very nice. I liked it.
Thank you.
Very
I think I have to edit the fight. But
I did feel like there was a little bit of like kind of a lack of tension at points.
yeah, there was a bit of a lack of tension. I figured that out, but I'm not sure how to fix it. I'll have to look over it later.
I'm fairly good at writing action scenes, so maybe I can be of service. You've
Maybe.
seen my work a few times, so I feel
Yeah.
I'm
like
offended that you were writing a dire wolf because dire wolves aren't big enough for that, so you should be ashamed of yourself.
Dire wolves are actually really big.
Yeah,
They're
are big.
really tall.
Yes, I know.
And I took a little bit of liberty since this is a fantasy setting.
I know, but still, they're only like the maximum weight was like 150 pounds.
Yeah, and Jennifer is modeled after a friend of mine who is actually not 150 pounds, which is why it works.
Still, my inner
Yeah.
paleo nerd is triggered by this inaccuracy. You should be ashamed of yourself.
That's all right.
Yeah.
I liked what I heard until my internet cut me off again.
Oh no.
My internet, not my computer this time. But I was having fun listening to the bit about the Minotaur before that happened.
Yeah. I think I need to read the Myth of the Minotaur again, specifically the fight, so that I can fix it if there isn't any problems.
Does it have to be
because
the same
there's-
as the myth, though?
Huh?
Does it have to be the exact same as the myth? I mean, you're writing your own story, right?
Well, no, it doesn't have to be, but I'd like to have the fight from the myth in front of me so that I can see how the Greeks did it. I know that I did it differently, but
Did they really describe the fight in any detail?
I'm not sure if they did, which is why I want to read the myth again.
I know that there's actually a really good like psychological like deconstruction of it, like from a historical perspective.
Oh, nice.
On the history, it's called Of Gods and Monsters. I think it's on like Daily Motion or something. It used to be on YouTube, but then like copyright. But
Yeah.
it's free to watch on Daily Motion. It's got a really good explanation of like how the Minotaur was created. Like in terms both in the meta and in the like the in world. Like it was actually like a supposed to be a like commentary on the fact that people on Crete were actually cannibals and were eating children. No
well,
joke.
okay then.
No joke. There's actual bones of children.
Oh,
there's actual bones.
I know.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, there's bones of like children that have like butchery marks on them. It's really creepy.
I mean, do you think child is as tender as veal? I wouldn't be opposed to trying it.
I guess.
Is there?
But-
I'm sorry. How do you? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but how do you highlight comments in the chat? Is there a way of doing that?
That would be only a privilege I have.
Oh, okay. That's the one I was looking for. That's the one I wanted.
Valerian has been Valerioff. You just racking up the time in the gulags, Wise Wolf. Just racking up that time.
We are not communists or Nazis, so we don't need to.
No, we'll just burn down our cities.
Okay. Well, we're not. Okay, we're not Soviet crazies.
Yeah,
It
we're
is.
not.
Alrighty. Well, Kaiju God, I believe it is your turn.
Yeah, I got some some of the deepest lore pieces. Two short ones. It shouldn't take too long. One is fixing the retarded lore of Ruby, and one is something I decided to add myself.
Okay, go for it.
So this is one on the Grimm. The Grimm have existed alongside humanity ever since they dropped from the trees. Archaeological finds such as Stone Age cave paintings, pottery, and even entire monuments depict Grimm and humans fighting. Though there are some that have Grimm being worshipped as gods, along with human sacrifice being done to appease them in some way. Grimm exclusively attack humans unless they're defending themselves from a bigger creature. It is unknown why they do this, but many have varying hypotheses. Some experts believe that Grimm specialize in hunting humans, as evidenced by an organ in their throat that filters aura, similar to how the kidneys work in humans. This has led many hunters to believe that if a Grimm kills you, it eats your soul. Because of this, the hunters carry a gun with a single shot to take their own life if they're ever overwhelmed by Grimm. However, there is no evidence of Grimm being able to eat one's soul. Knowledge of Grimm anatomy is limited. However, we do know some key points. They have 6 chambered hearts, 3 to 5 stomachs depending on the Grimm, and eyes that allow them to see in all color spectrums. Because Grimm evaporate when killed, dissection can be difficult, as the more damage done to the body results in greater rate of evaporation. However, the dissection of live Grimm has provided some very insightful results, such as the aforementioned aura filtering organ, as it is always absent in the dead specimens. The origin of Grimms still remain a mystery. Many think that they're an answer to humanity's rise. Others think that they're extra-dimensional beings that somehow were trapped in our world. Regardless of how they came to be, the Grimm have been a huge impact on modern society and humanity as a whole, shaping our modern world while reminding us that the order can be changed at any moment. And I think this is the one here. Open. Ah, yes, here we are. The life of a hunter is a very dangerous one that results in a lifetime of injury. This has resulted in the creation of a drug that accelerates the healing process. Therasil, or more commonly known as Jet Gel, is a drug that stimulates the cell duplication and increases their healing capacity. Therasil comes in 3 types. The most common and widely available type allows for a very small percentage increase, as its main usage is for long-time recoveries, such as physical therapy or recovering from nerve damage. Because of this, the general public can purchase it, but requires a prescription. A stronger version exists only for those in serious accidents, such as car crashes that result in major bleeding. This type of Therasil has an immediate closing of any major wounds and then very quickly fades, only lasting roughly 30 seconds. Its availability is only to that of medical facilities and combat schools for obvious reasons. But the most widely known versions of Therasil is exclusive to the hunter profession, known as Grimm's Bane. All wounds are healed in moments, aura power skyrockets, and semblances become at least 10 times stronger. Its primary usage is in battle when an individual is heavily wounded. However, unlike the other versions, Grimm's Bane comes with drastic side effects. Prolonged usage can result in an addiction due to the massive rush of dopamine when the aura spike happens. Overusage can result in developing various mental disorders such as schizophrenia, depression, bipolar disorder, and even multiple personalities in some cases. Because of this, someone who uses Grimm's Bane is quarantined and monitored for at least a week. Because of the immense power of Grimm's Bane, there have been several attempts to recreate it on the black market, resulting in low-quality boosting with high possibility of addiction and mental disorders. Therasil has managed to allow humanity to increase survival rates and heal damage that would likely have been permanent. But it has also resulted in many hunters struggling with life after they retire due to overuse, either by necessity or addiction. It's a mixed bag, but the good does outweigh the bad. And that's all I got.
Interesting.
Very nice.
Oh, interesting.
I do like lore building. That's always interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The
Oh, yeah.
deepest of lore.
Nice. Believe that. I believe it's my turn now.
Indeed, it is.
Yeah. I think you did while I'm just pulling up my thing. I do think that what you were able to do is very intriguing, and I'm definitely interested to read more of your stuff, mostly because it just seems as though you put a lot of thought into it. Or is this your own thing, or what is it?
Oh, the Theracell?
Yeah.
That's my own original idea.
Oh, neat. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. Yeah, I don't really have much feedback since it's mostly lore construction, but it seems interesting to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
It
And no,
does
the
sound
Grimm
really
were not created by us. Was by some purple-looking piece of shit because because he was salty at his brother.
So I've got a couple options. Well, I've got basically the first chapter. It's a little bit long though. I could do Jonathan entering Castle Dracula, or Dracula's becoming Dracula in chapter 2, which would be the preference.
Jonathan entering Castle Dracula, so he can so we can hit that bloody tears and have some epic boss battle.
Dracula?
When I eventually publish it, I think you will be surprised at the twists and turns, but
I'm looking forward to it. I know I'll
yeah.
buy your Dracula books.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I will put this on the long list of things I'm trying to finish before summer. Alrighty. Chapter 1. Jonathan Harker smoothed his suit jacket, then adjusted his cravat. The chief inn wasn't derelict, but it was on the edge. Jonathan turned up his nose at the slightly stained mattress, preferring the less comfortable tattered couch rather than the likely bug-infested mattress. "I'm finally going to meet the client," he remarked, finishing off tying the fabric around his neck. It had been a long journey from London to Transylvania, including a sea voyage, during which Jonathan had been thoroughly sick, and a dozen train rides. He shivered slightly. "Damn, it's cold in here," he remarked, rubbing his hands rapidly as he walked to the fireplace. He sighed in relief as soon as he got close to the roaring blaze. He clasped his hands behind his back, allowing them to cool off slightly. Jonathan licked his lips absently, going through what he was going to say to the client when he met him. "Hello, my name is Jonathan Harker," he began, feeling more confident as he rehearsed his speech. "I will be advising you on all your legal matters regarding any of your transactions in England. Whatever obstacles you see, I will remove for you." He nodded sharply and shifted his shoulders. Felt as ready as he could be. Suddenly, he snapped his fingers as he remembered something. He'd almost forgotten one of the important papers. He quickly retrieved it from the nightstand. Now he was ready. Feeling confident, he strode down the steps to the dingy, yet brightly lit lobby. Jonathan rubbed his nose. It stank of garlic. The whole place did. The stuff was lying around on every opening, on windows draped over the doorway, even nailed under the desk. The lady at the desk smiled and waved at him. Jonathan went over to her, keeping his slight nausea at the horrible smell suffusing the lobby suppressed, then passed a promissory note for Eddie Bank in Transylvania to the woman. She nodded and slipped the paper into her bodice. "You have your curse, Mr. Harker?" she asked in heavily accented English. He nodded quickly, subtly rubbing his nose to alleviate the stench. "If you have to go to that accursed castle, keep it concealed," she advised. "The Count hates the good Lord, and if he sees you at that, he may kill you dead." Jonathan waved dismissively. "Don't be absurd," he said airily. "The Count wouldn't harm me. He needs me to settle his passage to England." Their correspondence over the past few months had been extremely cordial, and quite witty on the Count's part. Jonathan was actually looking forward to meeting this fascinating client. The woman narrowed her eyes. "That devil is a lying piece of filth," she stated flatly. "First opportunity he gets, he'll cut off your head with one of them sabers he has lying around all over that bloody castle." Jonathan rolled his eyes and put on his hat. "All right, madam," he said politely. "I'll keep my crucifix hidden." The woman nodded decisively. "You may live after all." Jonathan rolled his eyes. Superstitious flim-flam. Nonsense, all of it. The Count was a gentleman, not some barbaric savage. He walked out of the inn and into the cold night. Jonathan huffed and pulled his gloves onto his hands. "The carriage should be here soon," he muttered, sticking his hands into his coat pockets. Absently, he reached into his jacket and pulled out his pocket watch. Any minute now. 2 seconds later, a large carriage pulled by horses black as the paint on the vehicle arrived. The driver wore a cloak to cover his body and a scarf and hat to protect his face from the elements. "Sorry for the delay, Mr. Harker." The man's voice was very thick, not accented, just slightly garbled, as if he had cotton balls in his mouth. Jonathan waved a hand. "Oh, it's all right. Just get me to the Count." "As you please, Mr. Harker." The man didn't seem pleased or displeased. It was just bored. Jonathan shrugged uncomfortably and opened the carriage door. "Thank you for your services," he remarked politely, pausing on the step. "How long to the castle?" "1 hour," the driver answered. Was he simple in the head, perhaps? Jonathan pursed his lips and pulled himself into the carriage. Well, he should buckle down and weather this cold. Curious, he rummaged around in his seat looking around for some sort of blanket or something else to warm him. The driver whipped up the horses, turning the carriage all the way around and starting them on their way forward. 5 minutes into the journey, and they had just barely found a blanket when the carriage met a sizable bump. Jonathan fell forward, only barely catching himself before banging his head. Before he could stop himself, he yelled, "Watch yourself!" "Sorry, sir," the coachman remarked apologetically. "It's a bad road." "Not my fault." "Definitely touched in the head," Jonathan muttered sourly, wrapping the blanket around his legs. The rest of the drive was quite miserable for Jonathan. It was as if the coachman were trying to hit every bump, rock, and ditch in the road toward the Count's residence. Jonathan restrained himself from shouting at the driver again, confining his castigation to mutters and internal thoughts. Roughly 3/4 of the way into the drive, Jonathan started hearing loud howls from out in the forest. He swallowed and looked out the carriage window. He could see several shaggy dog shapes roving the forest, moving through the trees. Wolves were extinct in the wilds of England. What would happen if those beasts were to get at the carriage? The horses whinnied in panic, and the driver whipped at them up. "Go on, get up," he croaked, goading the animals forward. Jonathan leaned his head out the window, keeping an eye on how far away the pack was. The wolves began closing in on the carriage, blocking off the road in front of the carriage. Jonathan's breath hissed through his teeth as the wolves began charging forward toward them. Should have brought a revolver, Jonathan moaned, clutching the bench as the wolves moved in all around them. He swallowed and looked out around the carriage for some sort of weapon to defend himself with. Nothing. Not even a match. Suddenly, the driver yelled in that garbled voice, and the carriage came to a screeching halt. Jonathan's chastisement caught in his throat as the wolves halted in their headlong charge, then began circling the carriage. The driver cracked his whip sharply, not at the horses, at the wolves. Jonathan gaped as the pack slinked away into the forest, glowing eyes reflecting the minuscule light of the moon. Jonathan aimed back in the carriage at a complete loss for words. Not bad for an idiot, eh, Mr. Harker? The driver's garbled voice was slightly smug as he urged the horses forward. Jonathan felt shame to his shoes. Disconsolately, he slumped into his seat and wrapped his blanket closer around him. The sight of the castle in the distance brought both elation and slight trepidation. It was a forbidding sight indeed, high battlements and with a high-towered keep rising above the walls. The black stone seemed to absorb the moonlight rather than reflecting it. The gates were open, the portcullis' spikes poked out from the top of the gate's arch, giving the impression of fangs on a giant beast. The driver tapped on the wood. Mr. Harker, he said in his garbled voice, time to get out. Time to get out. Jonathan took a deep breath and collected his briefcase. As he got out, his conscience pricked at him. I'm sorry for what I said, he remarked, coming around to face the man. When the carriage driver spoke, it wasn't garbled at all. Your apology is accepted, Mr. Harker. The voice was clipped and cultured, not even a hint of an accent. A long-fingered hand extended from the side and dropped a wad of cloth. The hand was followed by a tall man in a black cloak over a fine suit of clothes. The hat shaded his face, partially concealing it from Jonathan's view. The man swept the hat off his head, revealing thick black hair and a pair of piercing blue eyes. He walked down the steps of the carriage and extended a hand toward Jonathan. I bid you welcome to my home, Mr. Harker, the man remarked. I am Count Dracula. Jonathan followed the tall count as he opened the door for him and as they reached the Forbidden Castle's entryway. I have to say that encounter with the wolves was quite chilling, Jonathan remarked, blowing into his hands as he walked past the count. He was certainly an interesting-looking man. The count was extremely pale, as if he had never seen proper sunlight in his life. White, gloveless hands sporting long fingernails. The thing Jonathan noticed the most about the man was the slightly long canines that were revealed every time the man opened his mouth. The count held himself erect, hands behind him and straight-backed, almost like a military man, though Transylvania had no army. The count shrugged. This isn't the first time I've faced a pack of wolves, Mr. Harker, he remarked. They often bother my people, and I have to step in. That's quite brave of you, Jonathan said admiringly. The count tilted his head slightly. Perhaps, but I've always had a way with animals, since I was a small child. Still, in your place I would have been petrified with fear, Jonathan insisted. The count's smile exposed his unnaturally long canines. True, though it took courage to come this way, he motioned forward. Tell me about yourself. I wish to understand the man I am doing business with. Also, tell me of your beautiful England. For a moment, Jonathan was lost for words. He stammered. The Count smiled encouragingly and merely gestured for Jonathan to keep talking. Jonathan adjusted his jacket and shoved his gloves into his pocket. What would you like to know, and which do you want me to tell you first? What do you do for enjoyment, for a start? The Count ushered him toward an entry chamber into a large dining hall where a large meal had been set up for him. I am a solicitor in the employ of one Mr. Harkins, based out of Exeter, a few miles outside of England, Jonathan said, trying to collect his thoughts as he took a seat. I oversee a few deals and working through legal matters for various clients. The Count had a gleam in his strange eyes. Fascinating, he remarked eagerly, resting his hand on the table. Now tell me of England and my new home there. I haven't been there in years. I want to know how it has changed. Jonathan told the Count everything he knew. The estate was called Wynnham, right in the middle of London. The church had a church with a graveyard next to it and several other houses around them. I do have to warn you, there is an insane asylum next to the estate, though they won't bother you, Jonathan added, quickly perusing the papers he brought with him. It is good that you had attempt to help the insane, the Count remarked. Please, eat. I've already had my lunch. Gratefully, Jonathan tucked into the meal. It was mostly meat, some vegetables, but meat was the major course. At least there was no garlic. Jonathan had had enough garlic on this journey to last a lifetime. So, what is the state of London? The Count inquired, interlacing his long fingers. Tell me about the society, the fashion, the parties, everything. I do not want to seem out of place in my new home. After the dinner, Jonathan felt utterly drained. The Count had wrung him dry on every detail of London society, how to dress, what social events were of great importance. By the time it got close to morning, Jonathan was yawning so much he could barely get out a few words. The Count stood up. Oh, my friend, he said apologetically, helping Jonathan to his feet. I am so sorry. You must be tired from your long journey, and I've kept you far past when you should have gone to sleep. As he helped him up, the Count's hand brushed the place under Jonathan's coat where the crucifix hung. He hissed as if burned and retracted his hand. Jonathan was too tired to consider what exactly had happened, only that it had. The Count maintained his grip on Jonathan's arm. Despite not being overtly muscular, the Count's grip was extremely powerful. Jonathan allowed the pale man to escort him to the large room that would be his quarters for the remainder of his stay. Thank you, sir. Jonathan rubbed his hand and eyes and yawned. Sorry, I'm so tired. The Count patted Jonathan on the back. It is all right, my friend, he said reassuringly. But do not call me sir or count, or any other title. My name is Dracula, and as my personal lawyer you have the privilege to address me by name. Personal lawyer? Jonathan was extremely flattered, despite being utterly exhausted. Of course, Dracula remarked. Anyway, we must talk more tomorrow. Just rest. Jonathan nodded, then waited until Dracula had left the room before locking the door and getting into bed. For some reason, his first night in Castle Dracula was the most restful sleep he could remember having in years. Even as he awoke, he felt completely refreshed. The Count waited for him and in the dining room, a meal already laid out for him. Welcome, Jonathan. Dracula nodded respectfully to him. I am eager to continue speaking of England. Jonathan opened his mouth, then flinched as the howls of wolves sounded outside the castle. He rubbed his arms, remembering the encounter on the road. Dracula seemed unconcerned, even entranced by the howls. Do not worry, Jonathan. He patted him gently on the shoulder. comforting smile showing his long teeth. Whilst you are with me, or within the castle for that matter, you are safe as any man can be from the children of the night. Jonathan swallowed and nodded. Thank you, Dracula, I appreciate it. Jonathan patted Jonathan's shoulder and ushered him to a seat at the table. You have been extremely helpful to me, so I wish to return the favor. The tall man spread his hands expansively. Ask me anything you want to know. You should know some of my history and my personality if we are to be working together. 1,000 questions flew through Jonathan's head, but the first one that came out of his mouth was one that he should have discarded. Why did the townspeople believe that you would cut my head off? He blurted out. Rather than being offended, Dracula threw back his head and laughed. Ha! The townspeople, he chuckled. Here, let me show you something. The tall, pale man walked over to a cabinet and pulled out a pair of antiquated swords. He put the weapons on the table and set them down beside Jonathan. These are 2 of my prized treasures, Dracula explained, running his fingernail over the hilt lovingly. The money is of little value in and of itself. My family heirloom, however, these are my treasures. Jonathan had never had any interest in swords, but these 2 weapons were like any other blades he'd seen. They were both curved, but that's where the similarities ended. One had a slightly thicker tip, clearly designed to cut through anything in his way. Jonathan believed it was a scimitar. The other was a very, very similar and designed in a more familiar style, a more regular cavalry saber. The main difference was the small chain that connected one of the ends of the crossguard to the pommel. Both were very well made, though they had an air of age about them. Very impressive, Dracula, Jonathan remarked honestly, extending a hand toward the sword. An inch away from the hilt of the thinner sword, he paused, glancing at his host inquiringly. Dracula nodded and gestured in assent. Jonathan picked up the weapon and hefted it. What is the significance of the sword? He asked. Dracula's smile was pleased. Apparently he'd asked the right question. This belonged to Ivan the Terrible, he explained, tapping the blade with a long fingernail. My ancestor took it from the tyrant's corpse after he slew him in single combat. The Count extended a hand, and Jonathan handed the blade to him. Dracula's long fingers wrapped around the saber's hilt with a practiced motion. The Count handled the sword expertly, as if he had been born with the weapon in his hand. He spun it deftly a few times, then he suddenly slashed it toward one of the candles. The tip of the wick went out, though the wax was unharmed. Jonathan blinked, then started to clap. That was impressive, he congratulated the Count. Dracula brought up the saber in a salute, then brought it to the side and bowed. He set the sword down and picked up the scimitar. This was the sword of the first scion of my family, he explained. He handled this sword less familiarly than the saber, but the difference was minuscule. It was passed down from father to son until it came down to me. He upped the sword once, then set it down on the table. It has often been used to defend this country against invaders of every sort, but now wild-scale war is a thing of the past. Do you regret that? Jonathan asked carefully. Dracula shook his head and waved a hand absently. No, certainly not. He sounded weary. I do not wish for conflict. I wouldn't be going to England if I discarded a wide-scale conflict. Besides, he continued, picking up the swords and replacing them in the drawer, these swords are quite antiquated in this modern world. Firearms have changed warfare forever. They are still superb weapons. Jonathan offered the compliment hesitantly. Dracula sounded wistful. Yes, but it is Always hard to see something you love become useless for any practical purpose. He glanced out the window for a moment, then nodded. Good, we still have time before sunrise. He gestured. Come, another question. Was there a Countess Dracula? Jonathan asked. Pain flashed across the Count's face. No, he said, voice filled with anguish. Absently, he fingered the chain of his pocket watch. There was a girl once who protected me when I was vulnerable. I lost her to a group of evil men who wished to do me harm many years ago. Looking pained, he pulled out the pocket watch and opened it. I had this painted only a few years after her death. It was supposed to be a matched pair, though once it was gone, it was of no use to her. He offered the device to Jonathan. He merely looked at the portrait of a stunningly beautiful woman standing next to Dracula against a gray background. The Count had a smile on his face, though his overly long canines were not exposed. The woman looked radiant, though there was a slight hardness to her lovely face. Did you ever find the villains who did it? Jonathan asked. Dracula put the watch back in his pocket and licked his lips. No, he said shortly. The expression of murderous rage gave Jonathan the idea of why the townspeople were afraid of him. Though when I do, nothing will be able to stand in the way of my vengeance. Jonathan knew the conversation was going dangerous, so he changed the subject. What was your experience of England when you were last there? He asked quickly. Dracula's expression shifted from furious to smiling. Ah, that is a story. You see, Jonathan listened, utterly entranced as the Count regaled him with stories of his adventures. How had he done so much? The Count didn't look terribly old, maybe a year or two older than Jonathan, and he was in his early 30s. Yet he had lived so many experiences. His knowledge of history was also staggeringly impressive. Almost he spoke as if he were there through his recital through his ancestors' exploits. Those were just as fascinating, if not most, or so. One of his ancestors apparently had visited it all across the world, visiting every single Islamic temple on the globe. So, you are Islamic, Jonathan remarked. I have respect for the teachings of Muhammad, Jonathan, and Dracula said slowly, though I do not practice them. Most of my days are spent sleeping, so prayer to Allah at the proper times of day are not exactly a practical application of my time. What do you believe in? Jonathan asked. I do not believe in anything, Dracula remarked. There is a higher power somewhere, but I do not actively worship it, as I do not feel that any set of religious beliefs has ever properly captured me. He rubbed his chin. Anyway, he said lightly, dawn is coming. I fear I must leave you. I've been working all night to take care of some matters pertaining to my journey. He stood, adjusting his coat. Good morning, Jonathan. The castle is yours to explore. He gestured expansively. There are several locked doors. Do not worry about them. They do not contain anything of interest to you. Thank you for your generosity, Dracula, Jonathan remarked, extending a hand. Dracula smiled again. Those teeth were quite disconcerting, then took Jonathan's hand. Thank you, my friend, for coming all the way here to see me. Jonathan nodded gratefully, then waited politely for the Count to leave the room before starting his exploration of the castle. Much of the decor was quite old. The oldest was probably the slightly ragged tapestry of a tall man with a beard and long hair wielding a sword, very much like the thicker sword that the Count had shown him. Jonathan examined the tapestry and found there was very little similarity between the Count and the man in the tapestry. Maybe the ancestral lines hadn't been exactly uniform. Shrugging, he walked down the hallway toward a large stairway ascending toward one of the towers. Once he walked up several flights of stairs, feet aching slightly, he found a small door. Tapped on the door. When no answer came, he pushed it open. Inside the tower was a small shrine of sorts with a small picture of what looked like to be a Muslim family. You could tell by the dark skin and robes, at least on the father and mother of the group standing next to their 4 children. The 3 girls looked quite happy, while the boy was more somber looking. Jonathan's eyes were drawn to the young man for some reason. For whatever reason, he couldn't help picking out little similarities between the young man's eyes and the Count. Slightly similar facial structure made them look almost as like they were related. Maybe they were. Jonathan was about to leave when he heard someone coming up the stairs. Jonathan swallowed and hid behind the door, keeping his breathing low. For some reason, he felt impressed not to be found here. The door slowly swung open, letting a tall, dark-skinned woman into the room. Casually, she glided over to the shrine and knelt down, eyes obscured by waves of black hair. Stealthily, Jonathan slipped out of the still open door and walked as carefully as he could down the stairs. And that's the end. It's rather long, I apologize, but
Ooh, that was awesome.
oh, nice.
Very good indeed. Very good.
Yes, I've
Nice.
been enjoying it while having my lunch.
Oh, nice. What were some specifics that you liked?
Jonathan's journey to the castle, actually, and the fact that you made the coachman Dracula himself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hinted at through a lot of the sources where he has no staff, so he's got to be the person. Though sometimes people theorize they could be just a vampire. That was the thing that I thought would be really interesting to try.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was very interesting. I have a question though. Is the woman one of his brides or one of the sisters?
Or his victims, or both.
Yeah.
Or all of the above.
All of the above.
Yeah.
You will have to see.
Aww. Okay, it's spoilers. Oh well. We would not have known that was spoilers if we hadn't asked. So.
It's part of. I skipped over a slight bit of the story where it talks about a little Romani boy by the name of Michael and his sisters.
Oh, okay.
Make of that what you will. In the I think the late 1800s. Well, no, not late 1800s. Actually, in back in time, several hundred years, around the time of Vlad the Impaler.
So that was around the 1500s.
Yeah, so about 400 years previous to the beginning of this tale.
Oh no, it's Thebor Firenze run.
Yeah, it's one of my prouder ideas because of the idea of the monomyth that I put into the story, because it's kind of just having the idea that all the immortals of history exist. Yeah. Yes, it was very long. But this was a relatively short stream. It's only an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It didn't seem that long.
Long
Yeah.
man bad. Yeah, that's what don't you know that?
Yeah. Well,
Well, we've had our long man moment.
Yeah, we did 6-hour live stream.
Oh my god!
All right, yeah. I saw that on my subscriptions. I'm like, I need to watch that.
Speaking of long, I've been enjoying.
Was that the Confused Matthew one?
Yes.
Yep, it was the confused.
I've been
Matthew
told I
live.
sound like Confused Matthew.
You don't. No.
No,
Okay.
you don't.
Okay.
That is a lie.
Whoever told you that was insulting you.
Speaking of long, I've been enjoying the line "The Witch in the Wardrobe" one, and I've just got to the bit where Peter kills the wolf.
Yeah, that part is like hilarious.
First, there's the costume, then there's the lighting, and then on top of that, you all are laughing your heads off. So it's like I'm watching this bizarre scene with a laugh track. Something from a really strange comedy.
Yeah, it's just like it's really, really funny because it's just so cheap and just looks absurd.
Yeah.
Well, serious too.
Does it look cheaper than 2020 Mulan?
Yes.
Yes.
How is that possible?
Because it was made in the 1980s.
I ask, how is that possible?
Because it's BBC in the 1980s. They had no money.
Yeah.
Like,
fair.
There's a bear costume that looks like a college mascot costume.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah,
It was.
and the beavers are the beavers are in like these horrible, like uncomfortable looking costumes that are just look like they're a pain to move around in. Because
Oh
they're
god,
killed
what does
them.
Aslan look? What does Aslan look like?
Aslan looked the best of them all, I think.
part of that is because he's two people in a lion suit with an animatronic head.
But he's not Liam Neeson, so therefore he's inferior.
Yeah,
well,
Liam Neeson.
fine, I thought.
Yeah. Well, this has been our impromptu review of the BBC Narnia movie. If you want to hear more of our thoughts on it, I have a live stream as a 4-hour commentary on a 3-hour miniseries. Yeah, the flying Aslan bit was quite funny.
yes, it was.
Are you doing Prince Caspian?
We already did Prince Caspian.
I'm sorry, the Dawn Treader.
Yes, we will do that at some point. We're kind of taking a break to do more horror stuff, but I think maybe we'll do Dawn Treader next week. Let me look at this. I have the movie schedule like written up, but I think that maybe we could do a commentary on Dawn Treader next week. Get ready for the worst looking animatronic dragon you'll ever see outside of like a cheap carnival house.
I'm looking forward to.
Yay! It's so bad it's good.
Yeah.
Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Is that on YouTube, by the way?
Yes, it is on YouTube. All of it's on YouTube. That's how we're able to watch it really easily.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Even
since-
the BBC disavows.
Yeah, they don't care. Like it's kind of insane. Like we were able to play like several minutes of it and just no copyright strikes on it. Unlike our Lion King thing, where just because Confused Matthew had a few clips, we got the stream taken down. And I had to copyright and I had to do a whole dispute the darn thing. And it was really frustrating.
Yeah.
it's like, how did he manage to get underneath the radar and we got caught?
Well,
I mean, I know they
was he
relied on
praising?
plots, but
Was he praising the Lion King, the new one?
no, this
Okay.
wasn't the new one. This was the animated show.
Okay.
Yeah, he hates the animated one.
Yeah.
Why? Well, okay. Well, I found the person who takes Wise Wolf's place in the gulags.
Yeah. Oh yes, Gohan, you're in for a treat next week. But yeah,
I'm gonna have to watch that stream because I can understand not liking it or it not being for somebody. That's fine, but hating it. What?
And especially saying this thing sucks.
Oh,
Yeah,
well, then you're just fucking wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay to say, I don't like this, but you shouldn't and can't say that something sucks just because you don't like it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Those.
So have you seen Game of Thrones?
Are
you at least aware of some of the memes?
I am aware of. I'm aware of some of the memes that Mahler's shown.
He compares Simba to Joffrey Baratheon.
How in the flying flaming fuck do you compare
And in the
Simba to Joffrey? Joffrey. I'm going to kill Ned Stark Baratheon.
And that's not even the
He
only
also
thing
compares
he did.
him. He also compares him to Draco Malfoy.
He compared who to Draco Malfoy?
Simba.
How is Simba Draco Malfoy?
I don't know. I mean,
he claims that Simba is an a-hole.
When he's
Movie
a kid,
Bob was
he's
right.
not really wrong.
Movie Bob was right about eugenics.
Kinda. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Now, granted, Movie Bob would be included into the people who shouldn't reproduce, but he may have had a point.
Yeah.
Yeah, Movie Bob. Well, considering that any woman that gets under Movie Bob is going to get crushed, I don't think we have to worry.
Yeah. Movie Bob. Going on his Twitter is like reading the manifesto of somebody who's slightly more mentally stable than the Joker.
I don't even think that.
What?
You think the Joker's more mentally stable?
Yes.
Oh my God.
I would rather talk to the Joker than Movie Bob, because Movie Bob would be yelling about how Trump stole his Halloween and is and how the Nazis ruined eugenics.
Oh my.
Why does everyone hate on Joffrey? I think they're just envious of his greatness, personally.
Okay, here's where I would have a way to retort, but I can't say anything because I never watched Game of Thrones. So
I've never watched Game of Thrones either. I just don't care.
Oh my God! Right? Yeah, that's right. Red Movie Bob unironically tweeted about invading Poland.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
He did.
Wow. The bad take factory never stops. But anyway, thank you all. We might even cover a short Movie Bob episode this week. Unless, I just barely actually I want to cover a Game of Thrones thing. I just barely got something in the mail called Fire Cannot Kill a Dragon. It's a very candid assembly of a bunch of interviews that make David and Dan look really, really freaking bad.
Oh, was this the one by that chap? What's his name?
James Hibbard of Entertainment Weekly.
The Dragon chapter says he's a shill for the.
Yep.
That's Benioff and Weiss, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking forward to that then.
Alrighty. We'll start the chapter tomorrow on Monday, but tomorrow I'm actually having a chat with Lucky Jinx
Nice.
about suspensions of disbelief in stories, I believe it is. But
that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited.
I know that I've had I know that I've had some people go, okay, my suspension of disbelief is now broken because of something that's relatively minor and something that I wrote. So it's
Yeah,
This
like
breaks
having
it?
dire wolves being mounts.
It's a fantasy world. You could always do mega wolves or something like that. Or
No,
Yeah.
I will not accept your space wizards intended for children.
dude, come on. You gotta say what? Where is it?
This is a movie
let me-
about space wizards intended for children.
Oh no, something else.
Which
Not that
Patrick
one.
definitely should take his own advice on.
Yeah, because he's a
Yes.
hypocrite. Yeah, because he's a hypocrite.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's a filthy hypocrite who his mother
His
should
hairline
never.
is worse than my dad's.
Yeah. Well, it's like, dude, this is what I'm thinking.
And if you don't like it, no offense, but you have boring taste, and I don't want to be friends with you.
Well, Patrick,
Yeah,
I don't
we
want to
don't
be
wanna
friends
be
with you
friends with
either.
either.
Yeah, we don't like you. But anyway, we'll cover Patrick at some point.
Do his Alien Covenant defense. I haven't seen that yet, though.
I haven't seen that either.
I
I
haven't seen
tend to
that
stay away
movie.
from him.
I haven't seen his I haven't seen Alien Covenant. I just heard that most people just freaking hate that movie. But yeah.
It's bad. It's so fucking bad.
Oh,
They ruined the
Alrighty.
xenomorph.
Oh, I understand. Yeah, I've
no.
yeah, basically they're created by an AI robot dude.
It was created by a AI David of Michael Fassbender because the black goop from Prometheus, he was experimenting with it. Apparently, he like wiped out all of the animal life on the planet while doing it.
What?
And
Yeah,
yeah,
it
and like
sounds
he
stupid.
I don't know. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah, it sounds stupid.
Make any sense that he would be able to do a complete and utter genocide of the planet?
Oh no, he genocided the engineers that were living on the planet by dumping all of the black goo on them from above.
Wow. Yeah,
And you know how the black goo like mutates and shit. It just turns them like into stone or petrifies them or something. It doesn't like mutate them or anything.
I wouldn't be able to comment on it. I just know what happens. I'm not an Alien fan. I just know that Patrick is a gaff machine like Benioff and Weiss.
Yeah.
Though he is not as bad as Benioff. But that's because nobody is as bad as Benioff. Anyway, thank you all for coming. This has been a lovely stream, and I will see you guys tomorrow.
Go! Holy shit. Okay, we're going. Go!
Bye, guys.